Yo, ladies and gentlemen, welcome to another episode of the 2001 Show, episode 4. We have a few things on our slate that we would like to talk about tonight. We'd like to cover Shane Beamer's transfer portal wizardry. This man is a mastermind in the transfer portal. We want to cover the Citrus Bowl again. We got a few things we'd like to talk about there. The first round going into the second round of playoffs, we got a lot to cover there, ladies and gentlemen. Tell your friends, tell your people, the 2001 show starts now.
Three, two, one.
Welcome, welcome, welcome. Gentlemen, how are we feeling for the night?
Great.
Feeling pretty good, boss. Come on.
Good, 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 good. Listen. We got a few things we want to cover, man. Let's not one of the big ones right out. The transfer portal. How are we feeling about the transfer portal? I mean, first and foremost, I have one thing to say. Diego Pavia.
Yeah, they
You
kinda
helping everybody
a
out.
lot of teams.
Diego Pavia. Listen, the NCAA made a
Oh,
ruling.
man.
They waived a single year off of anybody that played in JUCO as long as they're not on an NCAA roster. Okay. So for us, Bam Martin Scott, that we'll get into probably talking about a little bit later, but he is currently on an NCAA roster and played on a JUCO roster before coming here before this ruling. Now, with them waiving that single year, technically Bam Martin Scott, if he fights it, he would have one more year of eligibility, and Xavion Hardy, the number one
Huge.
defensive lineman, would technically be coming into South Carolina as a freshman.
It'll be so. Firstly,
Eee.
before we get too deep, I want to say Merry Christmas to you guys
Oh
and
yeah,
everyone
Merry
else.
Christmas,
Like
everybody.
Chrysler.
Happy New
Merry
Year's. Hope
Chrysler,
y'all
yeah.
having a great holiday season.
We had a good one,
But
man. Listen, having a 3-year-old, well, basically a 3-year-old. He acts like a 5-year-old sometimes. Having a 3-year-old around here, bro. This dude, man. Listen, grandparents spoiled him, and having a 2.5, 3-year-old running around here. We had a fun little Christmas. Yo, Mac wasn't able to be here tonight. Everybody, shout out Mac. He had a busy week, busy day. But shout out Mac. He helped me lock in a few things for tonight. Merry Christmas to Mac in the chat. But yeah,
Christmas, Matt.
listen, I that ruling was huge, like across the nation. Um,
and it's big.
well, I mean, because initially a lot of people thought like, are we gonna have like 30-year-olds playing college football? Um, but they came out and said that they're just waiving one single year if you're on an NCAA roster now and you played JUCO prior to that. Um, So for us, obviously, it's huge. I mean, we already mentioned Xavion Hardy and Bam Martin Scott, but those two guys, if Bam came back, would be huge, huge, huge boost to our linebacker room. And Xavion Hardy, I think, is going to be a huge boost to our defensive lineman room. So, I mean, y'all have
It
any thoughts on that?
definitely. So I mean, there's a lot of ways to look at it. Firstly, are y'all pro or against the change? Because it now you're
With
really
what
gonna have
change?
permanent with the extra 2 years of eligibility if you go to JUCO. Because I can see some negatives. I mean, I feel like it probably hurts high school recruits unless they go to JUCO. I feel like it really boosts the JUCO pipeline, but outside of that, I feel like it's gonna hurt high school recruiting
I mean,
because
I could see
now,
it hurting high school recruiting, but
Yeah.
the only negative I could see out of that is the high school recruiting and having 28-year-olds playing against 18, 17-year-olds. Like that,
yeah,
I mean,
I
that's
don't
probably
know
not
if
a
I
big
like it, but
difference, but I mean that you got to think the experience
man,
as
it's
would
about
come.
10-year difference.
Yeah, like
Right.
So I mean,
Gigantic
that's
that's the
difference.
a lot.
only. But I could see it helping, like, those who are maybe like, because you know how you have kids who are slower when it comes to development, and then they could
Right. Right. Right.
potentially be, what they are able to be. But I don't see too much negative about it.
Yeah. I think going to junior college if you're coming out of high school is the new, like that's the move. Unless you are a without a doubt 5 star, high 4 star, so on and so forth. Because it doesn't hurt. Go get your weight up, get developed for 2 years or even a year, and then
Right.
shoot up. That's has positives and negatives. I don't completely hate it as long as it doesn't hurt the high school side. But
Well,
I'm
at this
glad we
point,
got the.
anything the transfer portal is kind of hurting the high school side too.
Oh,
Well, I
without a
mean,
doubt.
since you want to talk about the transfer portal, let's jump into that real fast.
Woo!
Um, two claps and a woo of Ric Flair. Woo!
Woo!
Listen, South Carolina has went a little crazy. Shane Beamer has worked his magic every year since the portal has opened up. Um, we've secured some big recruits. One of the biggest ones since our last episode that we have landed that a lot of people had a lot of questions about was Aaron Nolan, the quarterback out of Ohio State. Kid 6'2", 192 as a freshman. Um, a lot of people had some questions about that one, Braxton. I know that you do a lot of digging on recruits, and you're in that space a lot more than Seth and than I am. Um, but I mean, what are your takes from that commitment for us? I
I
mean, I think
think
it's a
a
huge
lot of
land.
Yeah, it's definitely a huge land. I think a lot of people were just questioning because of him being a backup, coming to be an additional backup. But
Right.
if you look at the progress of Sellers between the first game last year
Hmm.
and development between the first game and last game of the 2024 season, I think he kind of took that into consideration a little bit. And with Mike Shula being the new offensive coordinator, that definitely had pushed him, to. I mean, he's tall, like he's a big dude. He has a lot of potential with, especially having 4 years remaining.
Right.
But
Right.
I
Right.
think I think it's definitely a huge land in a development type of commit.
Well, I mean, when I first saw it, I went and watched some tape. Um, and I thought back to the not only the LSU game when Lenoris got knocked out, um,
Yeah, that too.
but just having the thought in my head of, okay, we have a mobile quarterback that is young, that even in Shula's press conference was saying he's got a lot to learn as far as there are throws that can be made without running the ball every time, which granted, everybody's given him his props. The kid is spectacular with the ball in his hands. The kid's phenomenal. I mean, Lenore's is like a grown man against a bunch of kids sometimes. I mean, it just looks like I don't even know what you want to call it, like a high schooler playing kindergarten kid sometimes. He's just breaking sacks left and right. But when I went and watched Ayer's tape, I was like, okay, he can get developed under Mike in this system the same way that Lenoris did and kind of, grow a little bit. He's a freshman, he's young, he can grow the same way, that our quarterbacks have grown. I mean, you got Dante Reno in that, you got Cutter coming into this class. And I started thinking about, I was like, what happens if Lenoris gets hurt? I mean, there's going to be a competition in our quarterback room, and competition is good for
Leads to
everybody.
success. Exactly.
Listen, iron sharpens iron. I think that it is a huge land for our university. I think it's huge for the football team. I think it's good for Lenoris. A lot of people didn't think about it. I mean, a lot of people were saying, "Oh, Lenoris is going somewhere," yada yada yada. But I mean, he inked that deal with Garnett Trust, and a lot of people were saying that there were, even though he wasn't in the portal, people were talking that he was getting interest from other schools and stuff like that. But I think that having Ayer and the other guys in the quarterback room is going to be gigantic for our season next year. I mean, because who knows, they could put a package in for it. I mean, obviously, everybody knew when Robbie was coming in, when Lenoris was healthy, what was happening. I mean, there was going to be a run play of some sort. But Nair Nolan's got a cannon on him. I've watched him throw a handful of balls downfield, 40 plus yards, and they've been pretty much dimes a handful of times. So,
What a
um,
name, by the way.
yeah,
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 Nair Nolan.
heir
Great
to the
name.
throne, heir to the throne.
When I
Um,
thought about this, I also thought about the decommitment from Landon Duckworth. Like
yeah,
after he
It
after
does
he
remind me of
decommitted,
it.
yeah, and the quarter. I mean, I see like maybe one or two quarterbacks we could have gotten, within the next 1 or 2 years. But now look at it, we don't have to go next year or the year after looking for a
right,
quarterback
right.
to come and make a difference. We already have that right behind who we sellers.
Well, and that's the other thing is like people fail to realize if Lenoris feels like it and his draft stock's high enough, let's just say he goes out and wins a Heisman next year.
He's
If his
gone.
draft stock, he can go to the NFL. He can just
Yeah,
up and say, "All right, boys, I'm out." I mean, I had
and
fun. Let's
then
just say he goes and wins. We go and win an SEC championship. We make it 2, 3 rounds deep in the college football playoff, and his draft stock's first round, 10 picks high. I don't know, 10, 12 picks high, and he's just like, "Yo, I don't know if I can get any better than this." And he decides to go because that's his lifelong dream to go to the NFL. He just decides to go.
mhm.
You got to have a backup plan. And I think this was what Shane and co wanted to do. They wanted to get somebody in here that was like, okay, he can run, he can sling it. He's kind of a Lenoris 2.0 if we build to that type. I mean, the kid's only 192 pounds, so they put him on a nutrition and strength and conditioning plan, but he gonna gain some weight.
You
Well,
should
the
see
thing
the
is, they're
development.
not gonna necessarily try and copy sellers. You know what I mean? They might not. They might leave him at a 220, 225 weight
True.
and just let him keep his legs and let him just be a Lamar-esque type quarterback. Biggest thing is the only negative thing I've heard through Twitter, so on and so forth. Don't know if there's any truth to it. I would recommend everyone go watch film and make your own opinions before just speaking on X. But that his mid to short range accuracy was an issue. Don't know how true that is. We'll see. But at least now, if there are anything he needs to improve on, he'll have that time to develop. He'll be able to
That's
sit
what I'm
back,
saying.
chill, compete
He's
with
got
some really quality high school QBs or freshman QBs and learn from Lenoris best he can, and ball out. So this was an amazing, amazing pickup by Beamer
But
and Co.
and if you think about it, if Lenoris does happen to leave next year, that would be his third year in college. It would be his third year coming like into college, and with
Right.
him already having 2 years, yeah, he didn't see. I only think he's seen the. I don't even know if he's seen the field last year. Maybe once,
He,
once
he
maybe.
He
did.
saw
No, I think he did
against
about 2 or 3 times,
I think he saw
but it's
against
only
Okay,
for like 5
Furman.
plays.
I think it was against Furman and against one other team that we were beating up on pretty heavily.
so we'll
Yeah.
definitely see him again this year, but it's enough to where I'm not gonna say he's gonna be like a you know not very talented when he sees the field first as a starter, but he's definitely going to have some type of more experience than any of the other quarterbacks.
I
Okay.
agree.
All right.
Either way, Beamer, you can really tell where their focus is.
Yeah, 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 yeah. I was getting ready to say that. Like they are wanting, like they saw 9-3 and they were like, okay, screw SEC officiating and screw everything. We're coming to take it all next season. You
The
can
thing
look
is, they're
at
using.
no. Go
Go
ahead.
ahead.
Go ahead.
You can also tell by where they're picking up their transfers that they're using the transfer portals to fill in holes. They're not building their team of transfers like in Old Miss or some of the other teams in the transfer portal deep. They are definitely just filling holes. We're
Yeah.
losing an edge guy. All right, we're going to plug in an edge guy until one of our high school recruits is big enough, strong enough to be the starter. And then you can see it as well in the O line. They're trying to pick up O linemen. Getting Nick Sharp out of Wake Forest, absolutely massive.
Huge. I mean, the
And it
kid's
just
6'2",
and it,
335, by the way. He's
yeah,
huge. I mean, we also just picked up Rodney Newsome Jr. Out of Western Kentucky. He's 6'4", 285, and he's a redshirt sophomore. So, I
so
mean,
yeah, that's
you're completely right. They're literally like people are leaving their plugging and playing kids. That's literally what they're doing. They are taking
yeah.
what we were successful with last year. They're trying to stay with that and just plug in new guys into the same system that was working.
Thing is, they're not even necessarily replacing the high school guys. Given
Right,
obviously
right.
some of these guys are going to have to compete. You know what
Oh
I
yeah,
mean with
for
the high
sure,
schoolers.
for sure.
But it's allowing these high schoolers that are sophomores or even freshmen, all right, you're going to sit behind these transfer portal guys for a year, maybe 2 years at most, but you're going to get developed before we throw you in as a starter.
And I mean,
Whereas,
and sometimes that might not even 100% necessarily be true because, like, you think about a Josiah Thompson, he was a freshman. We had
I
a
agree.
transfer tackle that came in, and Josiah started over him.
Yeah.
He won the job out of camp. Like, that could still be a possibility. Like, these
Oh,
high
without a
school
doubt.
kids, I don't think some of these high school kids come in and take these transfers as a joke. Like, I think they're going to come in and be like, I want that spot myself. Because I,
Oh,
I
you
just
know,
think that's the
Cutter's
type
looking at Aaron
of
Nolan like, all right, let's get it.
1000%. He's like,
Yeah.
yo, I'm coming for that number 2 spot.
Yeah,
I mean,
coulda was coming.
hey, that boy is like that. People might have
That's he
slept on him, but Cutter's like that.
reminds me of
He
like Connor
impressed me in
Shaw.
that state.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, we also landed Sean Murphy from Florida State, a recent Bama player. He had an injury bug at Florida State, and I was talking to a guy on Twitter that he he wanted to say some trash about Sean Murphy, just saying how do you think that he's going to play at South Carolina when he couldn't even start for Florida State? And I'm like, listen, bro, I don't think you understand. Like, Buddy wanted to get a certain type of development as a linebacker, and he didn't get that at Florida State. Like, he
Mhm.
didn't receive that development he wanted. Number one, he was
Are we
recruited
gonna
by.
time out? Are we gonna forget Florida State wasn't undefeated 2 years ago?
I was
You
getting
know what I
there.
mean? Yeah,
Like I,
yeah, I was about to say,
I, I I
like,
told him,
what?
I was like, Florida State was undefeated 2 years ago. He went to said Florida State team while y'all were also recruiting 1,000 players. Y'all paid for your roster. Okay. I was like, Sean Murphy was also recruited by said best coach in college football history, Nick Saban. I mean, he was a former 5-star. Nick Saban wanted him, got him, and he left, retired. And as soon as that happened, he left because he wanted to play for Saban. Okay, he went to FSU, got hit with an injury bug, didn't get to play in very many games because he never came back 100% healthy and just wanted to play. Now he gets a fresh start at South Carolina, where, I mean, we just had somebody come from Georgia Tech and Kyle Kennard and win the Nagurski Award. I mean, in my opinion, it just feels like better development to me.
I
That's just my opinion.
honestly think everywhere on the field last year got better.
1000%.
Like if you look at every position individually, like they have increased from game 1 to game 12. Like
Oh, without a doubt.
it's not even just Lenoris. I mean, you got to look at
Yeah.
the ends, the tackles, the receivers, tight ends, like everywhere got better.
Where I
Yeah.
saw, I think the most improvement outside of Sellers, because I don't think there's an argument that Sellers improved the most out of all the position groups. But I think the wide receivers improved the most
Exactly.
out of all the
100%.
receiver groups. Whether that be blocking on the edge,
Yeah.
actually catching the ball, not having clumsy drops, so on and so forth. The wide receivers, I'm excited for next year at the wide receiver
I was
position.
about to
I
say, I
know
don't think people
I
understand that part's going to be scary for a lot of people next year.
you're giving Jared Brown another season, get healthy, and then get that continuity with Sellers, brother. Jared Brown's gonna be a problem. And
Yeah,
then we got Nick Harbor, who's everyone knows
already
is
causing
improving.
problems.
Yeah.
He's gonna be
Yeah,
a
Buddy was
absolute
nasty.
matchup problem on the outside.
He's gonna
Yeah,
cause
I
flags just by
think
running.
everyone's been begging for a receiver on like X and stuff and Twitter and whatnot.
Yeah.
I'm honestly not worried about the wide receiver position.
I'm not
I'm
that
not.
that bothered either. That's why I said if we were to get a wide going to get a wide receiver one and we didn't have like very much trust in that room, we would
Yeah.
already have it by now.
Well, and that's why I have in the notes what from one of my friends on X that he's got some insider info of some people that have been talking to him from the football side. He doesn't necessarily from their side. He doesn't necessarily believe that we have to get a wide receiver because of how many cats we got coming in that wide receiver room because I believe that we have a few dogs in that group, some that are going to stand out probably year one, the same way Mazio did. I think they'll come in and make some plays year one. And be honest with you,
Absolutely.
yeah. I mean, I think Malik Clark, Jordan Gidron, those two would be uh, probably the names that everybody talks about first and foremost. But I think Brian Rowe will make some plays. I think Lex Cyrus is going to make some plays. I think January 2nd is when Donovan Murphy is supposed to commit. Let's hope that he's coming to South
I think he's
Carolina.
already committed to South Carolina. He's just dragging it on a little
He's
bit.
just dragging it on. Yeah, a lot of people seeming to think that Clemson's kind of gave up on recruiting him, and he's got 5 hats and all of it out of nowhere.
Yeah.
But you know, I from my friend on X, he stated that we're looking for one more running back. You know, we lost out on Justice Haynes. He went to Michigan. Potentially a wide receiver, one more interior offensive lineman to beef up that offensive line a little bit more. One more edge just for some depth. Two more defensive tackles, which I 100% agree with. I feel like we need some more depth on that defensive line, and then one more linebacker. He had a defensive back on that list, but we just secured a commitment from Miles Norwood out of Ball State earlier this afternoon. So that was a huge pickup for us, by the way. I'm also, I think we are looking into Devontae Miles out of Bowling Green. I'm not 1,000% positive. Um, just someone sent it to me on X. I think we're looking into Devontae Miles, but I'm not 100% sure. Yeah, as far as the transfer portal
Yeah,
goes, though, I think Beamer's done a heck of a job every year.
And
That's
you
just
got to
my
think
take.
I'm not worried about
this
Beamer.
cycle's basically halfway over.
Yeah,
It's not even close to being over, but
right.
this cycle itself. And then you got to also think about the spring portal too. So like we have
Hmm.
plenty of time to get whatever we need
Oh, for
this year.
sure. Well, and that's the thing is like you have some of these guys like um on teams like Tennessee just lost to Ohio
Exactly.
State, which I mean
Like
obviously we're going to get into that in a little while, but like Tennessee just lost to Ohio State this past weekend, and none of their guys opted out of playing in the playoff. But as
right.
soon as that happened, Monday, Tuesday
Not
rolled
saying
around,
not
they
saying
hopped
we're
up out
gonna
of there.
get anybody,
No,
but
no, no, of course,
there's
but
gonna be at least one player from each of those playoff teams that's definitely hitting the portal.
and they
If
might
not,
not
Oh,
be
without a
people that
doubt.
are they might not even be people that are really necessarily playing and making an impact,
but
but they're
the
there,
development of exactly them being in that
We'll
playoff
see.
and their team just makes it
right?
wow.
Like I wouldn't be surprised right now if there's players on our team. They're just waiting to play the bowl game, get to the Citrus Bowl, have one last go ahead,
Hoorah.
and then go to enter the transfer portal. Like you're going to see a lot of people. You won't know the real age of things until the bowl games and the playoffs are over.
Yeah.
But either way, I am very impressed with how Beamer and Co. have got who they've gotten so far, and you can tell they're really hitting those weak points. Like I'm very concerned about the defense. That is like if we're going to regress any next year, which success is not linear, I wouldn't be surprised if there's a little regression. I'm hoping it looks like 8-5 instead of like a 6-6. Lord forbid. but I see that regression coming from the defense. But so far, with the pickups Beamer's brought in, he is starting to relieve some of that worry.
Right.
So I'm happy. It looks good.
Well, while
He
we're
brought
on
in
the
2
subject,
5-stars from the defense
But
for the defense.
yeah, said 2 5-stars. Who was
One
that?
being um,
Sean Murphy,
Sean
right? Who
Murphy
was the other one?
and
uh,
Gabriel Brownlow Dindy.
yep, that's a defensive line and a linebacker. So along with Stewart, and I think Desmond's definitely gonna have a breakout season.
Bro,
Him
yeah,
or Ryan Thomas
Desmond is
Jr.
insane. I'm telling you,
I'm telling
watching
you,
film on
Desmond.
Desmond, bro, he is nice. And listen, Jaquavius Dodd's gonna be nice too.
Yep,
Yeah.
yep.
And then
I think
and listen,
we have potential to see 2. I think on defensive side, 2 or 3, like maybe like starting spot contenders. You got Kendall Daniels at safety. I think he has a really good shot.
yep,
You got the Donovan Darden dude, the
yep,
edge outside linebacker. He's got a really good shot. And
big time.
Jaquavier Dodd. Like those 3 people are definitely gonna fight for a starting spot next year.
1000%. And then, I mean, we've already talked about it, Bryson, but Fred J.R. Johnson, I think
Yeah,
Buddy is going to lead that linebacker room, bro. I'm telling you,
that
that dude is
yeah,
a monster.
yeah.
Hey, the player I'm excited to watch defensively, Jalen Kilgore.
Yeah,
Mm.
Eagles
Hey,
lighting it up this
hey,
year.
him and his brother just signed Garnett Trust deals too, by the way.
I know.
Huge
Dude,
huge get backs.
Jalen's a problem. All right. God, how many picks did he have this year? I know it was more than one.
he had 2
He was
game
ball
stealing
hawking.
picks. He had the one against what was it, Texas A&M in Missouri?
Yeah, I think it was both of those games.
Mhm.
Dude, he's a problem. That's a
He was
name to watch
freshman
out for.
All-American.
Yeah. We got some dogs coming in, brother. Come on.
I have no worry about
Oh,
our defensive backs at all.
No,
None.
no, I
not at
don't
all.
either.
Well, and
I'm
you also got
excited.
to
You
think
got
about it.
Bakari
There's
Swain's a true freshman starting also. Like
yeah, Vakari's nice.
he's
He is
really nice.
nice.
is
Yeah.
David Boosie a DB or is David Boosie a safety?
It's a
I
Where's
think
he
safety.
at?
yeah, I think he's a safety, yeah.
Safety.
Safety.
I'm excited to watch him play.
That's a
Yeah, same.
headhunter.
Yeah, hey,
Yeah.
buddy be going after
What
the
I remember,
ball, boy. I'm telling you.
he ain't scared to hit somebody. That's
Heck
what you
no.
need.
Nah, but
Yeah.
now
It's gonna be
now
good.
we're talking about our roster a little bit. Let's get into our bowl game. Feeling the cheesiest.
Come on.
Um, so talking about our bowl game, listen, the line still sits the same. South Carolina's still favored. They're still favored 10.5. But news has come out that Illinois will be down their starting offensive lineman, Zy Chrysler. He started all 12 games for Illinois this season. And their leading receiver, Pat Bryant, will also be out. Huge losses for Illinois for the bowl game. And on the South Carolina front, we know for a fact that Kyle Kennard is out, and Beamer they put out a depth chart earlier today, and Rocket Sanders was not on the depth chart.
He opted out. He opted out right before the depth chart was put out.
So he opted out earlier today. So no Rocket, no Kyle Kennard, but everybody else on our roster is playing. TJ Sanders was one of the ones. Him and Nick Emanworry were both two of the players that they were saying were kind of iffy on whether or not they wanted to play, which kind of tells us at this point that Nick's probably going in the draft. And so is TJ. I know all of Gamecock Nation probably wanted to hear otherwise, that Nick may want to come back and fight another year. But the kid's got high draft stock. A new draft mock came out, I think, a couple days ago. And
One came
somebody
out yesterday
had,
having both
yeah,
the first round.
yeah. I thought it might have been a couple days ago, but it might have been that I seen it yesterday that it had both TJ and Nick going first round. One to the Vikings and one to the Eagles, like
Yep.
25th and 28th or something like that. So, I mean, happy for the boys, happy for Nick, happy for TJ if that's where that happens. Listen, they going out one last shot against Illinois, and fighting hard. They proved a lot this season. The boys are disgusting. Nick has been absurd back in that secondary for South Carolina for 3 years straight. I mean, what, 3 out of 4 years to be an All-American is insane work.
Yeah.
That's insane. And TJ, man, TJ has just been, dude. I mean, that interior defensive lineman, he just, I don't even know. I've watched some of SEC Nation, um, and watching them kind of go through gameplay and film of how TJ and Tonka, how they'll like push each other in gaps and in holes to like stop a run play or get to the quarterback. That's like, bro, that's like a brotherhood. That's something you want on your team, and like I hope that builds, next year, and we have guys that want to play like that and have each other's back, because I feel like we need that, number one, and number two, like losing that in TJ and in Tonka and Nick in that secondary and stuff, and losing Debo at
Alex.
linebacker, yeah, and Alex Huntley, Big Boogie Huntley, losing all of those guys, man, it sucks,
Now
but
y'all see, that's why I'm worried a little bit about regression next year.
sure.
But I trust I trust Beamer and Co. So
I mean, hey, that's exactly
trust him.
why Clayton White got a 3-year extension a couple weeks ago. It's 100% the reason why, because he trusts that his coaches are gonna lock in, get the kids right, and we're just gonna be right back where we were last year, head hunting, top 15 defense in the nation, turnovers going crazy, sacks going crazy, Dylan Stewart being a menace on the edge, and just rotating depth pieces. That was the other thing. Like having those depth pieces, being able to rotate in and out on that defensive line was gigantic.
That
That
was the
was
difference
huge.
between the year before and last year or this year was the depth.
100%. Yeah.
That's the difference.
Yo, Mac, I see you in the chat. He said he needs one of them boys to be Broncos one day. I hear you, boy.
Man,
I hear you.
just keep him in state. Go there to Charlotte. They need some stars.
Listen, if we get some more Gamecocks on Carolina's team, it about to be the Carolina Gamecocks for the doggone NFL team at this point. Oh, I swear. Oh,
I'm about to go throw. Hey, I'm about to go throw my Clowney jersey.
I'm serious.
Exactly.
Nah, them boys. What was it? We had like eight or nine Gamecocks in that one photo. When they played the other day,
It was sick.
it was
That was it.
crazy. But yeah, as far as the Citrus Bowl goes, I mean, we just wanted to touch on that just a little bit. Illinois got two huge players out for them. And obviously we got Rocket and Kyle Kennard out for us. But exciting for us is that we have I know me and we've been talking in our group chat that we wanted to see, Oscar Attaway, but we really, really, really want to see Matthew
Jawarn Howell.
Fuller and Jawarn Howell, bro. I really want to see Jawarn Howell. I want to see what Buddy's got.
If I'm not mistaken, it's definitely going to be a toss up between Jawarn and Oscar. Jawarn has
listen.
potential to be RB1, even though Oscar
listen, this is the thing. I think the reason that Howell was at SC State was grade related.
It is.
I think that's the only reason why he was at SC State. But Buddy was an official, like he was gonna be a RB1 in a big time school.
Yeah, anywhere.
And so I think it'll be a toss up between the two of them. I think if I'm real honest, it wouldn't surprise me if Jawarn wins that running back one position. It would not surprise me at all.
I wouldn't be surprised, but man, Attaway looked good, or Oscar looked good in that Clemson game, man.
Yeah, but that's the thing.
I
If you
haven't
can
seen
have
enough
two,
from Howell.
well, and that's the thing though. If you can have two running backs, look at how Ohio State ran their backfield all season long. Travion Henderson and
That's true.
Quinshon Judkins. I mean, bro, if you got two strong, Texas too. I mean, you got two strong running backs that at any point in time you can hand the ball off to either one of them and say, "Yo, go pick me up 7 yards," or "Go bust me a 40-yard touchdown run," and either one of them can do it. I'm down.
Exactly.
It really helps that late season wear and tear. That, like, you could tell near the end of the season, Rocket.
Oh yeah. Well,
you could see him get up a little slower, so on and so
yeah.
forth. So when you have those two guys that are go ahead RB1s, yeah.
That's what I'm
Sure.
saying. If you got a second string that should be a RB1, you're in good hands.
Right,
You're
right.
definitely in
Well,
good
then that's
hands.
what I'm saying. Like, Oscar is what he'll be a senior next year.
He's like a
Yeah,
senior, yeah.
I think he'll
So
be a senior
he
next year, and Jawan is gonna be a No, he'll be a
sophomore.
junior,
He'll be a
sophomore,
junior.
junior. So he's still got
He's a
technically 2
sophomore.
years.
Yeah. He still
So
got 2 years.
listen. Even if we don't pick up a running back, I have zero doubt that our running back core is fine. Because even outside of those two, you still got. I mean, you got Hal, you got um dog. I just lost it. You got Hal, you got Oscar
Oscar
Attaway, and you
and
got
Matthew Fuller.
and Matthew Fuller. And listen, Matthew Fuller, I've watched film on
Yeah.
Buddy, a lot of it. Buddy
Mhm.
is like that. I'm
Yep.
telling you,
I
And
think
we
the
have
only
a
reason we need a running back is just for the depth side,
it's
or
depth.
maybe
Yeah,
the
oh, yeah.
developmental side.
I think it's literally just for depth.
I think we'll get us a
Honestly,
running back in the 26 class.
Oh
probably,
yeah,
probably.
yeah, without doubt.
Um,
I think we actually have one that's kinda considering us. He's like top 15 in the country.
you
Not
talking
top
about
recruit wise, but
yeah. I
top
know what you're talking
15
about.
running back.
What's his name, Bryson?
I couldn't tell you now that you asked me.
I know who you're talking about though, because we both reposted his video the other day. I know
Yeah,
exactly who you're
I'll
talking
see if
about.
yeah.
I'll see if I
Um,
can find it real quick.
because he's South Carolina's been like going after him for a hot minute. Um, God, I can't think of his name. I should have had it wrote down because I was thinking about him earlier, but thinking about the Illinois and South Carolina Citrus Bowl. Um, getting back to that, so we can move on here soon. When I
Mhm.
think about all the things that we have going on in this game, I'm really looking forward to seeing. Although we know that some of these people aren't coming back, like Debo and Demetrius Knight and Tonka and Boogie and TJ and all of these kids. At some point, I'd like to see, Desmond and um, and Fred J.R. Johnson
Mhm.
and some of these dudes. I'd like to see them get some action against Illinois to see what we working with next year. You know what I'm saying? Like I want to see.
I think we'll definitely see a bunch of rotation going on just to see. Like I said, like in the group chat, I said Oscar and Jawan, with them being like, with it being a tight race on who's going to be RB1, I
Yeah,
think they'll have like the same amount of touches.
Yeah, I want to see a little bit of experimentation with the personnel.
that sounds like a plan to me. Listen, getting off of that, when we go to our score predictions from last
That
week,
running back was Jalen McGill, by the way.
Jalen McGill. That's it. Yeah. Score predictions from last week. Listen, Seth, Mac, and I all went 3-1. We all were wrong on the Ohio State Tennessee game.
I didn't see that coming.
Nobody on
I
this.
don't think
Oh,
anyone seen that
nobody
coming.
did except for Buddy from Crane and Co. He's the only one that saw Ohio State beating Tennessee. Um,
Now, I'm not surprised Ohio State can beat Tennessee.
I'm
I'm
surprised it
surprised
was
they
so
manhandled
lopsided.
Tennessee.
Yeah,
Like I
same.
thought that was going to be the game of the week. It's going to be
Right.
close. It's going to be a dogfight in the end. Nah.
And it just
I
didn't
think that
happen.
I think that Tennessee offensive scheme is being picked apart now. Now that after that year of whenever
Yep.
Jalen Hyatt was there and they were just like
Yeah.
throwing it deep, that's when they kind of like changed up their whole offensive
I
play
don't
style.
think they trust Nico.
Or maybe
And
that
that
too.
O-line is getting bullied. That O-line against Ohio State got
They
bullied
were getting
all game
manhandled,
long.
son.
Yeah,
I
you're right.
mean,
And
manhandled.
then when Howard was picking them apart,
Oh yeah,
like
their defense looked
their
like they
defensive
hadn't
line didn't look.
practiced.
Yeah,
Bro.
their defensive line looked okay,
I mean, they
but
talk
they're
about
supposed to
how
be a
James
top
Pierce is
3.
so good. They talk about how
Yeah,
good James Pierce was better than Kyle Kennard and how he should have
he
won the
didn't show up.
award and yada yada yada. And Buddy just got tall. He got pancaked twice that I saw. I don't know if they counted them
Yeah,
joints in the stats, but Buddy was on his back. Like he got
yeah.
Yeah, it was
man and listen, Ohio State, I know we're getting deep into this playoff thing that we haven't even gotten to yet, but like watching that game, Ohio State was pissed that they lost to Michigan. and just took it out on
Oh, yeah.
Tennessee.
I would be pissed
1000%.
if I lost
Ohio
to Michigan
State.
too.
For sure. As sorry as they've been all season, boy, I'd have been mad too.
Exactly.
But anyways,
Yeah, no.
listen, we were all 3-1.
really.
We badly predicted the Tennessee Ohio State game, but we were all correct in the rest of our predictions. Seth, overall, right now you're 11-11. I'm 14-8, and Mac is 15-7. So that's where we're sitting.
Mac is cooking.
Yeah, Mac is Kentucky frying over there, brother. But now we're getting into this playoff bracket and how it looks. So, actually, let's go over, before we get to the playoff bracket. Let's go over our playoff week 1 and how everything went. Listen, first game was Indiana at Notre Dame. Listen, I loved at home playoff games. The atmospheres were electric. They were electric. I don't care what nobody says. The places were on fire. Fans were great. The atmospheres looked turned. I cannot wait for Willie B to have a playoff game inside.
That's just gonna be rocking.
But let me tell you what,
Come on, man.
I will be in person.
I'm going.
I'll
I
be
don't
shirt
care.
off. Just
I'll drop
I'm gonna be in that mug. I will be in
It's gonna
there.
be bad.
I'm
I'll
serious.
fly in. Y'all
Listen,
gonna see me.
I can't show you, but I got a bed there. I got a bed over there. We got room. We going.
You got room for me?
We're
I
going.
said
I'm
it
going
is.
for sure. I'm
About to be in that
Put it
mug.
on the
Listen,
American Express.
listen,
Platinum card.
Shane. We will be loud and we will be early. You
Hey,
feel
can
me?
we get some tickets? Y'all do military express tickets?
I think they do
Sideline
military
passes?
discount.
I'm gonna have to hit them up.
But anyways,
Come on.
listen, I loved the atmosphere, bro. Like that. Listen, like I just watching the band and everything, and I was sitting in my recliner, and I don't know, I got chills for the first time. I was like, yo, 12-team playoff. Like I started imagining, like, yo, Willie B would be kicking, boy. Like,
Dude, I think when it comes to home field advantage and like playing it, somewhere local, I think the best and or worst, if you're Ohio State, was when Tennessee took over Ohio State. But the thing
Yeah.
is, it was Ohio State's fans rolling them at the end of the game.
Yeah.
Brother, you don't get that type of feeling at a
Listen,
neutral site game.
no,
Texas
not
was
at
getting that
all.
one too.
But like
Yep.
that's why I love the fact that there were home playoff games in this thing. I
Yeah,
love
no,
it.
it was
I
great.
love it a lot. But listen, the final score to that game was 27-17 Notre Dame. The truth behind that game is it was 27-3 with 5 minutes and 45 seconds left in that ball game. Notre Dame was bullying Indiana. Listen, Kirk Cignetti called that game more scared than a white person in a scary movie. I'm just calling it how it is. White people are dumb in scary movies. He called that game stupid. Why were they so soft? Why did they call the game so soft? Why were there not more shots taken? I mean, he taught big game on game day. We don't just beat top 25 teams. We beat the bleep out of top 25 teams. Like, come on, bro. Why we talking so much and we not doing so much? You feel me? Like, don't talk the talk and not walk the walk. But Buddy played so scared.
It's just
Like
a
you-
difference in confidence, man.
Yeah,
In the offseason, we're
mean-
gonna have to do like a top 10 like coaches or players or teams we hate the most. Bro, Kirk in there. Kirk somewhere in that mug. Cause like
Buddy.
I love a coach that spit and talk trash and all that. But dog,
Like, you got to back that
You
up.
gotta-
Like, Marcus Freeman didn't say a word. He just said, I did Google this man. That's all he said.
The only person that can talk
Hey,
trash and
that's
back it up would
cold,
be
bro.
Kirby Smart.
I'm about to say.
hey Kirby
Kirby
can say whatever he wants.
Yeah.
Kirby can say whatever he wants. But the thing is,
Hey, JR in chat going crazy. Hey, he said he gets his coaching inspiration from Dabo. Scared.
oh my god, that's the thing about Kirk.
That's
though,
funny.
Eddie, it's when you talk trash.
Yeah.
He must have like
nah.
read the Dan Lanning like playbook on talking trash, and he does it all at the wrong times. Like,
Yeah, it wasn't smart.
You're talking about the top 25,
The last time he
Like
played
he
a
could
top
beat all
25
of them.
team was he played one earlier in the year and lost. And the last time before that, he was at James Madison, and it was Coastal, and they beat them
And he was,
47 to
don't
7.
get me wrong, he was a dog at James Madison. James Madison was cooking, but
But
my
brother,
issue
it
is
was
you're at
Coastal.
Indiana. Yeah, exactly. But
Like
you're at Indiana.
no dog
You
to my
just won
wife's,
your
alma mater, but like it's Coastal versus Notre Dame. Like, brother, completely different ball game here.
and my thing is like you're asked after the last conference game happened. You're asked, "What's your thoughts on the playoff picture? Should you be in?" And he goes and says, "Oh, what was it?" He goes and said, "What do you think?" Of course we should be in. Dog, you didn't play anyone. Oh, we
Yeah.
won 11 games. No, bro, you ain't been playing in a
At
conference
this point, you
championship.
can't look at wins to be in the like. That's what
No.
they need to understand.
They
You
they
can't look
need.
at wins.
We're moving towards, I think, a college basketball format where you're gonna have quad one, quad two, quad three, quad four victories. I think that's what we're gonna end up rotating to.
Something need to
Yeah.
happen besides what happened this year.
Yeah,
Anything
something's got
better.
to give. Something has to give. I mean, when I think about it, I mean, obviously we wanted the Gamecocks to be in, but when you look at wins on your schedule and you look at your schedule, your strength of schedule has to matter.
Exactly.
Who you play has to matter.
Exactly.
Like when when I when I look at Indiana's schedule, I mean, I wanted the game to be closer, but it wasn't going to
Yeah.
happen.
But I'm also that's what I'm saying. I'm also glad that it did happen. So hopefully this doesn't happen again.
Agreed. Now, I mean, we talked about that, obviously. Like, we knew, like, for pick's sake, I wanted it to be a shootout just because I wanted a good game.
Mm.
But for narrative standpoint, I wanted Notre Dame to beat them by more than 27 to 3. I didn't even want them to score no garbage time touchdowns. I wanted it to be a
Yeah.
blowout from 0-0 to 0-0.
Exactly.
Like, I wished
I
it.
just want
I don't know. I mean,
any football is good football, but when you're in the playoffs, like
It
we
has
gotta
to
find a way at least like even if all these 12 teams are gonna be in, there is no reason we should be watching Penn State, Boise, Texas, Arizona State in the second round.
exactly.
Like I at least want like even if these are the best 12 teams supposedly, sure, okay. At
I mean,
least let the
if the
rankings make sense.
if the
Or some
criteria
good
Rankings don't even
fit
football.
make sense.
everybody, if that's the thing, is if the
Yeah.
criteria for everybody lined up and everybody in the top 12 fit all the criteria, then sure. But it didn't.
Like you
Hey,
can't. You gotta eliminate the auto bid because that like even if you look at it, if you say the 12 best teams are in the college football playoffs, the 12 best teams are not even the college football playoffs. Not because I'm a South Carolina fan, because
Well.
you had Clemson number 16 in it. Like that's
I'm glad you brought that up. Mac, I'm about to shout you out, brother. Um, Mac has a hot take that I'm going to throw in here for him because he's not here with us tonight. He thinks that within 5 years, there won't be any conference championships
I won't
because
be
they don't
surprised.
matter. And at this point, auto bids have to go.
only way it matters is if you expand it. They have to be expanded in order for it in order like 16 to 20 teams, maybe. Like
What if you
but you
did it where
cannot
the
have no 12
championship
teams.
is also a playoff game? I don't know. Just throwing things
Yeah,
out there.
that wouldn't work though because then the loser in that, I mean, I don't know. I don't know. I mean, that's for them to figure out and for us to watch. As far
Oh,
as he
hey, I'm
just
just
thinks that the conference game is going to be no longer because auto bids just aren't gonna. They can't be a thing. Auto bids just the fact that there was auto bid in Boise State and Arizona State were higher than Tennessee, Ohio State, Texas.
Exactly. Those should
So-
be your second round games, if anything.
yeah, yeah. I mean, don't get me wrong. I would love a Cinderella story. Would I love Arizona State to put up 300 rushing yards against Texas and Cam Cam Scatterboo to go crazy? Sure. Is it going to happen?
But
Probably not.
no,
But like,
I don't think it should happen. I think the only team that should be allowed to have a chance of winning the Natty is Georgia and Oregon, Tennessee, Ohio State. Those are the only ones I could really wanted to see it just so this doesn't happen again. Just saying. Because then if they do end up winning, then they're gonna be like, oh well, this is why we did it.
right. I mean, yeah, I get, yeah.
I will say if Ohio State goes on to win it all,
If they beat
they
Oregon, they
going to
might win it all.
oh,
They look nasty. Hey,
oh,
I'm telling you, they look
they going
disgusting against Tennessee, boy.
I'm telling you, people are gonna argue that they're better than the 2019 LSU Tigers if they win this entire playoff because of the route they had to go through to win it.
Sure.
I'm
I know
telling you,
Oregon fans that are saying the same thing.
Will Howard looked like a different dude against Tennessee.
Listen,
Yeah, I don't know where is
before
that
we
game?
get there, do
Out
y'all
of
have?
nowhere.
Yeah, it did. It's probably because they were mad at Michigan.
I guess.
Is there anything else you want to say about Indiana Notre Dame other than
They're gone.
Notre Dame just
Oh,
completely
no.
outclassed, outperformed,
Honestly,
outplayed,
Only
and
thing I gotta
Marcus
say about
Freeman?
that, get Notre Dame out too. If they ain't gonna be in the conference, get them out.
I
Oh, yeah.
agree. You should be in a conference to be able to participate in the CFB. I agree. All right, moving on. Second game that was on the slate, SMU at Penn State. Listen, I have something to say here. This game would have been closer. Hear me out.
Okay.
Kevin Jennings threw 3 picks, 2 pick sixes. 2 of those were inside their own red zone.
Oh,
Just hear me. I mean, obviously hypothetical, but like,
Right.
had you not turned the ball over inside the red zone twice there and got points out of that, this ball game would have been a lot closer. Momentum wouldn't have swung the whole 9
yeah.
yards. Like,
But
out of the gate, bro, out of the gate, SMU's defense was like putting it on Penn State. It was like back-to-back 3 and outs, 1 turnover on downs, and then all of a
it was
sudden,
good.
2 a pick six and a pick turned into points later is 14-0.
But
SMU's
that's when you.
defense,
Sorry, go ahead.
I was just going to say, SMU's defense was locking Penn State down. I mean, they were. Until 5 minutes left in the second quarter is when the first offensive touchdown of the game was scored. That was the first time. First
So do
time an
you think
offensive.
It was just
do you
two
think so
bad
the
teams going
issue
at it. That's what I think about it.
honestly,
You look
yeah.
at Penn State's schedule.
I don't think
Penn State's gonna get dog walked by in the next round. Watch.
You
Why?
think they're gonna get dog walked by Boise?
Not like I'm not gonna say dog walk.
Seriously.
No, I'm sorry. Okay, we got to look at
You
Boise.
think
Who Boise
I know
is
you
now.
think if you think Penn State
It's still
come
gonna. I
on,
guarantee you, it's still gonna be a
bro.
game. I guarantee you, it's still gonna be a game.
Listen,
Watch.
if they cut out the turnovers that don't have the turnovers SMU have, I guarantee you it's going to be a close game.
It's gonna be a game. Because Penn State, go look at Penn State's schedule, bro. That's SMU
Oh,
has
no, they
played nobody.
trash.
They've only beat Louisville. Really, that really matters. I mean, they played what was it, Illinois that was ranked, or someone that was ranked. But the only team that they lost to that was Louisville, and that's you can't compare that to Ohio State or Oregon or Georgia. You can't compare that. That's what I'm saying. It was just two bad teams going at it. I mean, you throw 3 interceptions. I mean, just look at it.
Yeah, and that's what I was trying to get at is like in that SMU Penn State game, bro. Like, dude, SMU's defense was locking Penn State down. Like
They're fast.
they weren't doing nothing at all. Like at all.
I'll give you that.
Penn
I'll
State
give you
couldn't
that.
move the ball. I mean, it was like 3 straight 3 and outs, including a turnover on downs. I mean, you got to think about it. Those 3 picks also don't include the turnover on downs inside the red zone when Kevin Jennings tried to shuffle the ball forward to his tight end when he could have just ran for a first down. That's technically another turnover. It's a turnover on downs. That's 3 inside the red zone. 3 when he could have probably walked in for a touchdown almost. I'm telling you, Penn State probably, if you take out them picks, bro, I'm telling you, that game right there would have been a lot closer because the momentum would have never swung into Penn State side. It never would have. SMU had control of that game until that offensive touchdown was scored in the second quarter at the 5-minute mark. And then all of a sudden the floodgates opened and all the momentum was on Penn State side. And SMU couldn't do a thing. No. Why would you? You put your foot on the gas. When you finally get somebody knocked down, you put your foot on their throat and you keep going. That's how that's how you should coach a football game. Kurt Cignetti,
Yeah.
take notes.
Hey, I'll give Franklin. I don't trust him at all, but I will give him kudos for this game because when his defense stepped up, his offense also did, and put 38 on the board, and they didn't just let off and let SMU get back in it, get close. No, once they had control over the game, it took them a little bit to get there, but once they had control, they had it. So
Yeah.
shout out that
Yeah.
defense too. Good lord.
Yeah, their
2
defense
pick
went
sixes is crazy.
Yeah, and one of them was for like I think it was like 57 yards. But yeah, listen, I'm telling you, had SMU not turned the ball over the way they did and Kevin Jennings not make the mistakes he did, I think that game's a lot closer, if not have an SMU win, and we have an SMU Boise State in a second round. Because I'm telling you, it looked like it was going to be a defensive ball game the first 2 quarters. If you take out the picks, like it looked like it was just going to be defense, all defense, because neither offense could do anything at all. I mean, SMU was moving the ball, but yeah. All right, moving on to game. Oh, it was very good football. Very good football. Aside from the fact that we felt like we should have seen some different teams in this thing or some better seating or what may you have it, I think we still saw some good football. Lover of the game, I love watching football. The games were still good to me. I still watched all of them from start to finish. Still watched. So, game number 3, we had Clemson at Texas. Final score of that game was 38-24. Listen, I'll give Clemson and Garrett Riley props. His first scripted opening drive is usually flawless. After that, he is a absolute moron. Garrett Riley, I don't know what him and Dow Loggins must be brothers or something. Because good lord, after that first scripted drive, my God, did he not? He didn't have a clue on what to do. It was literally 28-10 at the half. They scored the opening drive, and the rest of it was like, here you go, Cade, figure it out yourself. It looked pathetic on Garrett Riley's part. That's just my opinion. That's just how it looked. And then it was 31-10. Do what?
I said totally not biased.
No. That's just watching the game of football, like watching the play calls and how it just looked terrible. It looked like he didn't have a game plan for Texas's defense. That's just the truth.
The only thing that I could see on Texas that benefits them is the run game and their defense.
Mm-hmm.
Like Texas has a really good defense.
Yep,
I will say that.
Now listen. I will give props where it's due. It might make me want to vomit in my mouth a little bit, but that boy Cade, he was spinning that rock now. That boy was spinning that rock, boy.
I don't know if y'all seen it or not, and I've mentioned this for ever since they. I haven't really paid close attention to Clemson up until they played Carolina or they played Carolina.
So it mattered.
Yeah. And if you go watch film, bro, these boys are known for having. I mean, you can call it what you want to call it. You can call it fight, and you can call it whatever. But these push offs that they're getting away with, that's what's helping Cade. Like you have to. Even TJ Moore, he didn't at me, but he tweeted. You could go look. And I promise you, I blasted all over X talking about push off. He went and made a tweet about it under the post, the original post that I commented, talking about you got to know the rule of a push off. And I sent him, like in the comments, I've sent videos and I've sent pictures of where he's had his arm extended, where he's putting his hands to the face during the middle of a route. And that's the only reason I can see why Cade has the numbers he has, because something at Clemson, there's a technique or something at Clemson being taught where you just push off just a little bit because every one of them do it. Every one of them do it.
You know what that reminds me of? That LSU game. That Mazio push off.
The
Phantom PI.
Yeah.
Yeah.
we need some more ACC refs.
Listen,
Yes. I
aside
don't
from the
know.
push-offs, I will say, and Jonathan, I don't know if you're still in the chat, but Clemson's got a glaring issue, and it is on defense, and it is in
Yeah.
the run game. My
It
God,
would,
they
would
gave
not
up.
surprise
I
me if
think
West is gone after this year. Would not
Oh, it wouldn't
surprise me.
surprise me either. But they gave up 2 100-yard rushers. They gave up 292 yards on the ground, brother. That is almost 4 straight games with almost 300 yards rushing.
bad.
There is a
Yep.
problem in
Yep.
Clemson, South Carolina. Like, my goodness. Jonathan, you are
I mean,
stupid. He is stupid. He said, I'd run for 150. Yeah, buddy. Put the pads on, brother. He talking about I'm 35 and fat and I'd
Dude.
run for 150. Brother, I believe in you. Put the cleats on.
Clemson's
I
having
mean,
an
and I
identity
think
issue.
I'll be
I think
honest.
that's
I
the
think
problem.
highly of the players that Clemson has, like defensive, like Sammy Brown,
Dude, Sammy and
Hayden
Peter,
Hart,
and
Peter
yeah.
Wood, Wade Woodaz, like all those guys, like they're very talented. They're just
They're
not
gonna
being
play on
coached the right
Sundays.
way.
Yeah, they're gonna play on Sundays, and they're
They're
just
not
still
being
giving
coached
up
the right
that
way.
much. Yeah. I don't see why. I don't see why. They
What is it?
are. I didn't read it yet.
I think it's an identity issue. There's something going on with Clemson where this is not the same team we're used to watching. I've never watched Clemson defense and
Oh my gosh, bro! Listen. First time chatter, bro. Hey, bro. Listen. Hey, bro. Relax. Listen.
Trill.
Yeah, boy, Trill. Listen. Again, yeah, it's a coaching issue. 1000%. It is a coaching issue. Wes, my
Yeah,
man's,
definitely.
Clemson
Go,
fans
bud.
calling for your neck. They calling for your neck, my man's.
I'll be
Yeah.
honest. I would be mad too if I gave up 4 games in a row with almost 300 rushing yards, bro.
Bro, because if you think about it, Clemson's decent against the pass. They only gave up, I'm
Yeah,
pretty sure,
they
like
are.
150 yards in the passing game, and so you give up 292 on the ground, bro. That's where the 500 yards offense came from.
You have cornerbacks and defensive backs that
Bro,
you can
Avion Terrell is nice
set on
too, bro.
islands. You can set them on islands by themselves. There's no reason you have 300 yards of running of rushing offense. No.
No, there's no way, bro. That's what I don't understand is like they put AT out there on an island, and they put all these other kids out there on islands, and you got all these people free, and you still allowing that much on in the run game,
Exactly.
brother. You allowing that much on the ground still is a problem, like a big problem. So listen,
Yeah, I was watching.
Hey, you think Dabo gonna get it right though? You think he's gonna right the ship?
I'll be honest.
Then-
Look. This is how I look at it. Give Dabo 5 to 7 years, he won't be here no more.
Oh,
if you don't right the ship.
Now the thing is with
I don't think he's got
Clemson-
much time with the. I think him and Saban were kind of the same coaches in a way.
Well, I mean, he
And
came
the
from
whole
Bama.
reason- right? And the whole reason, Saban had just went ahead and got out with it because he don't
Because
want
of
to deal with
NIL.
what's going on right now.
Yeah. Well, I mean, you think about it. They fixed their NIL issue, and then all of a sudden they pick up 2 players out of the portal. They picked up that
That's probably all they're gonna get.
They
If
picked
not
up that
one
wide
more.
receiver from an FCS school, and then they picked up Helt he was a number 1 edge rusher from Purdue. But
You know
that's
why they
it.
picked up that wide receiver? I
Why?
honestly think Adam Randall might go to running back.
See, I've seen that too. I've seen that several times, but that's the other thing. I've
That
also
was my
seen
prediction.
where I haven't seen several times, or I've seen in several places, I haven't seen Clemson's name on a lot of people in the portal. Like, why would you do all these things to fix your NIL issue and not jump in the portal heavy? Holy, Jonathan, you are correct.
Yeah. You seen the
Jonathan,
scores?
listen. Jonathan in the chat said these fellas in the Rate Bowl are showing more heart than the ones in the CFP. Kansas State's up 42-41 right now in the 4th quarter. My goodness, what a bowl game! Listen, we had 6 overtimes earlier with Toledo and Pitt. Yo, Pitt, you got to get out of the.
Toledo, dog.
Yeah,
Shout out
Pitt, you might have to
Toledo.
get out of the ACC, brother. You might have to get up out of there.
A lot of people are dogging these bowl games, but You can
Listen,
tell it matters for these kids, dude. The way they
football
come out
is
and compete.
football, bro. To me, football is football.
Are we gonna get another bowl game or another overtime game?
Low key, we
Oh,
might.
Right now,
Rutgers has
Kansas
the
City has
ball.
the ball.
Either way, last thoughts on this Texas Clemson game. Texas looked pretty good. Clemson looked good for a little while in the second half, but other than that, I mean, it just Garrett Riley was a problem, and West was a gigantic problem on defense. Like, brother, you gotta fix that problem, or I'm pretty sure he's out of there. So,
He's already gone. I already feel it. I don't even like Clemson. I ain't got nothing to do with Clemson. I already know he gone. There's no way you keep that same guy. There's no way. With the talent you have right now, there's no reason you should have that many
I
yards.
think.
well, and
I
the
think
problem is
we're-
if they keep him, next year might be even worse
Oh, I
because
know
they're
it will
losing
be.
players.
Exactly.
I think-
That's what I'm saying.
I think where Clemson lost the game was really at the line of scrimmage, though. I mean, that shows by how Texas was able to run the ball on them, but they weren't getting any push off. They were getting bullied on the line of scrimmage. Like,
There
Yeah,
was
for
no
sure.
I'm not-
penetration at all.
it reminded me a little bit of when Clemson played Carolina, where it was pretty even at times, but
But then there
the
were other
line
times
is
where
not-
Clemson was just bullying our line, and that's what
They-
Texas did to Clemson.
Yep.
There,
Yeah.
there were times where it was
Clemson-
even. They were neck and neck, and then all of
Yeah.
a sudden, when Clemson needed a breather, Texas was like, "Oh, we got rotational pieces, and boom, here you go. We in your
Yep.
backfield,"
Yep.
and that's what
It-
happened.
Because Clemson was bullying our O-line almost the whole game. But
Yeah, bro. Peter Woods was in our backfield like almost every play.
Yeah.
That dude's
Texas'
a dog.
O-line is very good. I was very impressed by Texas in this game, and I think they showed that they can win it. I really think they did.
If
It
they
was the
find a
closest-
team like someone who can stuff the run, that's when they're gonna draw problems. Because if you see Quinn Ewers just like his film wise, he's not your Will Howard. Like he's definitely overthrown a lot more than he should have.
100%.
I think he
Listen, I said it-
Ewers just
I said it
panics.
last episode.
know
I said
why,
if
though.
Clemson
Fucking
could
nuts.
get to Quinn Ewers and force him out of the pocket, he's going to make bad throws. He's going to make mistakes. But I also didn't see them giving up another 292 on the ground. Like, I figured at some point since your Citadel game, you would have figured it out by then. I mean, I figured obviously Citadel and then Carolina, you were working on some problems. But then you still gave up a bunch of rushing yards to SMU, and then you gave up even more against Texas. Like, there was a glaring issue, and it never got fixed. So,
Yeah, for sure. It
I
started
mean-
with the Citadel.
yeah, like when the
It
Citadel
started-
got 287, and then South Carolina got 270 something, and then SMU got 260 something, and then Texas got 292. Brother, get them out of here.
Something gotta
I ain't
go.
even a Clemson fan, but brother, you got to go. My lord.
That was crazy. That was actually crazy.
But anyways, getting into the last game of week one, listen, Tennessee at Ohio State, this was a thrashing. Tennessee didn't even get off the bus. I mean, they did with their shirts off in the cold. Intimidation factor never works. Listen, y'all, I don't know if y'all remember in the movie
Yeah,
Avengers when Hulk grabs Loki and is just like ping, 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 and then calls him a puny god. Yeah, that's what Ohio State did to Tennessee. I was trying to get that video downloaded so I could show it, but it wouldn't download for some reason. But listen, they got Hulk smashed, they got throttled, they got ran over by a Mack truck, whatever you have it. Listen, they got Mike Tyson 1-2 punched in the jaw. My lord, did OSU just completely shock everybody? Because the entire nation was just assuming that this game was going to be the game to watch.
Exactly.
8 versus 9. Like, bro, everybody thought this game was going to be the game to watch. Everybody thought, listen, Tennessee's defensive line, their defensive front versus Ohio State's rushing attack, and their passing game, yada yada yada. Then you got Ohio State's defense versus Dylan Sampson. Like, brother, this was the biggest thing that people talked about all week.
Hey, do you think there's any truth to the whole "it's cold" thing? What do y'all think?
What you mean it's cold? Like weather bothering them?
SEC Yeah, like SEC teams going up north, blah blah blah. Because I don't know, this was embarrassing. This was like I don't even have any thoughts on it. If you want me to be completely honest, like it was just OSU
I don't even
showed up to
think
play.
I don't even think this was like a player situation either. Like it was everywhere that they were like bullied, like everywhere at every position.
Yeah,
I mean, legit. I mean, I mean, legit,
Yeah,
everywhere they were bullied.
I'm not. Uh, I'm not even gonna fully blame Nico, even though I do think Nico looked awful in this game. Bro
Oh, for
was
sure.
running for his life so often. They had almost no run game. Couldn't go on the outside. Couldn't go on the inside. Getting smashed. Like receivers dropping balls. Whole 9 yards. Yeah, I ain't got
Yeah,
many
I
thoughts on
don't
this
know.
game.
I don't know what happened.
Ohio State, they impressed me this game. I hate you, Ohio State, but
Listen,
kudos to y'all.
they shocked the world. I think they put the entire CFP on notice. They took that Michigan game to heart. They were like, "Screw Michigan, screw college football, screw the whole nation. We are going to come out and show everybody that we belong." And that's what they did. I think they Cam Scotted Tennessee and they dropped their nuts and they put it on them. And Seth disappeared.
I'm here.
Oh, your
So,
camera disappeared.
no.
Um, but I think that is what happened. I think that Ohio State was just they I think they just spazzed out. Like,
Jeremiah Smith went crazy.
yeah, hey, buddy is
20-yard game with
nasty.
2 touchdowns, and he was talking. Hey, did you see the I don't know if you've seen it, but the DB from Tennessee was talking junk about
Yeah,
not
he talking
being
about
able
yeah,
to.
aight. Jeremiah Smith on X was like yeah, aight.
Yeah,
Bro, like
that was
you know how cold you got to be to just go on X and be like yeah, aight. You couldn't even cover me. Like that jump was insane.
exactly.
So yeah, now getting into round two, I'm gonna throw the bracket up so everybody can see once again.
Alright.
We got 4 games coming up, um, and we're gonna go through all of them. I'm gonna list them all out here. We got Notre Dame and Georgia. We got Boise and Penn State, Arizona State and Texas, and then Ohio State and Oregon, which is a rematch. So listen, first game on the list. First game on the list, fellas. Um, we got on the 31st, which is the same day South Carolina plays. 7:30 that night is the Verbo Fiesta Bowl. Penn State versus Boise State. Penn State's favored by 11. They are
I
favored
don't think
gigantically.
And I
I
think
don't
they're
think
gonna
that's the
cover.
spread. I don't think so. I
So
don't think
me
so.
and Braxton,
Whoa.
me and Braxton are super different on this game. I think Penn State's gonna body Boise because of depth. I think I could see it being close in the first half. Okay, I'll give you that, Braxton. I could see it, but I think coming into the second, Penn State's gonna get that jump on them. They're gonna end up starting to shut down that O line, and they're gonna shut down Genty. And then I don't think their QB is good enough to beat Penn State. And then I think Penn State has more than enough offense to compete and beat Boise. So I think because of depth, I think
I
that's
mean, yeah,
where
if
Penn
you
State.
look at it that way, but hold on, let me see something.
All right.
You
Like
guys
I don't
talk.
even think it's
Well, no.
close.
While you're talking or while you're looking at, I have a few things. Penn State's going to be the best defense that Boise's faced all season, aside from Oregon. Now, statistically, stats alone, Penn State outranks Oregon in a few categories, just a handful. Okay, I personally think if Boise's O line shows up and Ashton Genty gets a sliver, that this game's going to be very interesting. Because, hear me out, when Penn State and SMU played, SMU was moving the ball, and a lot of the time it was through the running game. And it wasn't necessarily just straight runs through um, just handoffs to the running back. I think it's going to come through getting the ball to Genty and their number one wide receiver, Cameron Camper, in space. I think it's going to be something where they're going to have to run some, halfback screens and some quick RPOs and some things of that nature. I think that the game can be close. Um, the only thing that I think will be an issue in this game is the fact that Boise State they have a top 25 rush defense in the nation, but their pass defense is like bottom 110th. Um, like legit bottom 110th in like 4 out of 6 categories. They're like 118 in one, 116 in another, like 119 in another one. Drew Aller, he may end up having a field day. Him, Harrison Wallace III, and Tyler Warren, they may feast in this passing game, but running the ball is going to be tough against Boise. And running in between the tackles is going to be tough for Boise State. Now, running outside the tackles and getting Jeanty the ball in space on some halfback stretches and maybe some, screens and, out there in the flats, that may work. But that's just my thoughts on the game. I, 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 I think the game is close, but I think, I don't know, Bryson, what you got?
I mean, I don't see it being a blowout.
See, I don't have I don't have it in blowout, but I do have it in double digits. And the only reason I have it double digits is because of depth, like legit because of depth. And the only other reason is because of the simple fact of Boise played Oregon in the early part of the season. Early part of the season. It was like third or fourth game, I believe.
I think it was like the first game. I think it's that early. I think it was like the first game of the year.
Early? Kidding me? Was it that early?
And I think that's why Boise was able to compete with Oregon, because Oregon was still learning their team. Just like
it was the second game of the season. It was the second game of the season, and they lost 37-34. Okay, so I mean, legitimately, I could see. All right, my score prediction is Penn State 34, Boise State 27. I could see the game being a little closer. But the reason I have that final score is for the simple fact of depth. I just think that Penn State has more depth pieces. I think they wear out Boise State a little bit more. Now, granted, they competed against Oregon. They did. But that was, again, early in the season. Boise is coming off a bye. Penn State is not. They I don't know. Penn State might be coming in hot because they just thrashed SMU. And they may feel that they thrashed SMU.
I think it might be like a 10-point game.
Which is kind of what I have it.
I don't see it coming from Drew Aller though. I think it comes from the ground with both teams.
Okay.
Because I had to go do a little bit of research, but Penn State allowed 200. No, I lied. It was Oregon who allowed. Oregon had allowed 200 and some yards on the ground from Penn State.
Right.
And with the, like you said, the depth wise, I don't see the two different players from Penn State had 100 rushing yards.
Yeah. Against Oregon.
Right, against Oregon at that. If they can pick that same thing up, I could see Seth's side. I could see it being like a huge blowout. But with them already being able to see that, that's what's got me like, I mean, that spread may be okay, but I still don't think they cover. I think it might be like the 1 point spread where you miss it by 1 point.
Where it's a 10-point instead of 11.
Yeah.
Oh, see, that's why I have 34. I have 34-27. See, Mac has Penn State covering. He's got 38-20. He's got it being an 18-point thrashing.
I mean, I could see. That's what I was about to say. I could see it being like 24-10, or I could see it.
That, to be honest, that's me. I'm saying 42-21. Like, I really think it's going to be a blowout. Like, I think Penn State's going to dominate at all three levels of the game because they have the depth, they have the better pieces. All Boise has is Jeanty. They have a quality QB, but I don't think it's hard. Once you shut down Jeanty, I think that's when you start mauling the QB, because then you have to throw, and then it becomes predictable. So I think if Penn State shuts down Jeanty, it's a walk. It's a dog. They're getting rolled. So 42-21 is my prediction. I don't think this is going to be a close game.
Yeah, I
I
mean,
hope
Boise State's
I'm
quarterback
wrong, but
Maddox Madsen's only thrown for 2,700 yards this season, and he has 22 touchdowns. Their leading receiver Cameron Camper only has 837 yards and 4 touchdowns.
well, that means
Um,
he's getting the ball out to multiple guys, which is good. He's
sure,
not locked in on one single person to have that
The
many
thing
yards,
about
and his number one guy only has, you know, I think he's a quality QB. I
oh
don't think
yeah,
he's bad.
he's
I'm not
22
gonna
for
dog
3. He's
on.
22
Yeah,
touchdowns, 3 interceptions. I mean, he's not a
oh
bad
yeah.
quarterback.
Yeah. He's very smart with the ball. He's very
Yeah.
like
yeah.
delicate with the football. That's for sure. He
So
has been sacked 10 times.
Yep.
But when it comes
yeah, I got
to
a whole season. That's not too bad.
yeah, I mean Ashton Genty's caught 20 receptions for 116 yards this season. Um, and then their tight end has Matt Lauder has 43 receptions for 523 yards and 6 touchdowns. So their tight end gets in on the game a little bit, and then Latrell Caples gets in on it a little bit with 5 touchdowns on 443 yards. So I mean they spread the ball around a good bit on Boise State's offense. They spread it around a good bit.
Boise may come in with a different game plan than
And
anybody's
they
seen.
very might. I mean, they might have watched that SMU Penn State game and been like, "All right, we seen how SMU was moving the ball on Penn State, and here's how, and here's why." They
That's
may
true.
come in and try to implement something of that sort, and if it starts to not work, they may be like, "Let's flip back to this." They may have multiple schemes of what they
That's what I'm
want to
saying.
do.
It's gonna be a go or bust with this. Like it's either gonna be very close or it's gonna be very
Very,
bad.
very bad, yeah. And see, that's why I had it so close at a 34-27 because I think it's just me. I
I mean,
think
you
that there
never
will
know.
be yeah, I just think that there will be some adjustments made,
Hmm.
but there again, I'm giving James Franklin the benefit of the doubt that he's not gonna blow it against a Mountain West team, so that's just me.
I might be giving Franklin too much love. We're gonna find out because I mean, given
I
Boise
mean, it's
did get the bye
Boise
week,
State though.
so
Like that's what you also got to think. But then again, like this is how I look at it. Like we were talking about strength of schedule.
Yeah,
Penn State hasn't really played anybody but Oregon, but they play
true.
them every year. So therefore,
Right.
it's always gonna be a close game when you play the
they
same team
had
every year.
Ohio
Or
State,
did they
didn't
have
they?
Ohio State?
I don't
They played Ohio State.
yeah, they played Ohio State this year.
No, they
They
played
were
Oregon in the Big Ten.
so that was it. They didn't play Ohio State this year?
I'm
They
looking
played
at Penn
Ohio
State's
State too
schedule.
and lost.
Yeah, so they were
They
10 and 2.
played Ohio State, Oregon. They did have Minnesota, which isn't a terrible team. SMU, obviously. So not a crazy schedule. They did have Wisconsin, which some people like Wisconsin. I don't know. Depends on the person, I guess. So they had OSU and Oregon.
Oh, they had Illinois. Illinois is ranked. They're ranked 19th. They won that game 21-7. Um,
Yeah,
yeah, Minnesota was a very,
so
very tight game, 26-25. My
Yeah,
goodness.
yeah.
They played Ohio
that was
State
kind of
and
a
Oregon in
shootout.
season. Yeah, they lost to Ohio State 20-13, and they lost to Oregon 45-37. So that game was a shootout. Other than that, I mean, they've pretty much beat everybody. Other than USC, they beat USC, Southern Cal 33-30.
Yeah.
That was a close game. So, I
I
mean, other
think
than that,
they've had some decent competition. I don't think it's been awful.
no, not too terribly awful. But I mean, it
I've
was a
seen a
stronger
lot
schedule
worse.
than what Boise's seen for sure.
Oh, without a doubt.
Braxton, what's your final take on the Boise Penn game?
That's
What's
what
your
I don't
score?
even know, bro. Because it's either gonna be like very good or like very bad.
Well, you better
Like
go in the middle. That's where I went.
I'm just gonna stick with the 10 point. I'm just gonna go. I'm just gonna go 24-14. That's what I'm gonna do.
Jeez. All right.
I'm gonna have to because
All right.
it's very
I
toss
like
up against
that.
Ashton Genty, bro. Because you don't know what he's gonna do. Like
Nah,
you
you
don't.
really
I
don't.
look
But
if
Buddy may come
Genty
out
Don't
going
know.
crazy.
if Genty controls this game and can murder clock against Penn State might be in
Exactly.
for a long day, and it might be a fourth quarter punch in the yeah. So
Hey, yo,
Mm.
yo,
This one's
yo.
hard to decide because you have
Genty
a
gonna
on one side.
Jonathan, we thinking the
No.
same thing. Yo, Jonathan in chat said Penn State 38-24. Jonathan, I said 34-27. So we thinking along the same frame, my boy.
if Genty in this
The
game's
only
gonna
reason,
prove if he should have won the Heisman or not.
the only
If he
That
was
reason I
see,
say
dog
that's what
water,
I'm thinking. I'm thinking, what if Genty comes out here and says, "All right, Cam
the
Scott, drop your
Heisman Trophy
nuts."
might have done something to him. Like
That's what I'm saying.
he
Like,
goes for
what
like
if he's pissed that he didn't win the Heisman and he's
300.
like, he goes off for 350 yards against Penn State?
Hey dog,
exactly. Like,
I'll take
and
it
the
all
reason
back.
and the reason I'm
Listen,
saying it's going to be like a lower scoring game is because I really think the ball stays on the ground a lot on both
yeah, I think
sides.
so.
I think so.
Well, I mean,
That's fair.
yeah. I don't know if it does though, Braxton, because Boise's pass defense is horrid.
I mean, you got to. I mean, yeah, you're right, but
Listen,
with them
they're
putting like
literally.
over 200 yards against Oregon on the ground too, go just
Well,
stay on
that's
the ground until
yeah.
he fails.
That's because Oregon's pass defense is like elite.
I mean, it goes both ways, I guess.
Yeah, yeah, I guess. So, I mean, listen, I guess we will see on December 31. You feel me?
I'm not doubting Genty at all. Like,
I'm not
I just
either. I want a good game. That's what I want. That's why I said what I said,
yeah.
34-27. I want a good game. I want it down to the wire type. Like, what if it's 27-27 and somebody's got to score the last touchdown? I'm fine with that, brother.
Hey,
That's what I
OT
want.
Genty, overtime Genty, come on, bro.
Hand that mug off. Y'all run the inside zone.
Exactly.
I'm running that mug, you feel me? All right. New Year's Day. We got the Peach Bowls. First game of New Year's Day at 12 o'clock. We got Texas against Arizona State. They are favored 12.5. My Lord. Listen, Texas will be the best defense that Arizona has faced all season. No doubt. Arizona State hasn't faced anybody remotely close to Texas's defense at all. Legit. None at all. Listen, the only thing I got in here is that Sam Levitt found Xavier Guillory and Melquan Stovall valuable in their recent win over Iowa State. Jordan Tyson, their lead receiver, is completely out. Upper body injury, he had surgery. I don't know that the game will be close. I don't think that. I think that after watching some more film today, I made an earlier prediction in this game. I think Cam Scatterbu has some fun in this game. I think they probably try to swing it to him out wide, get him the ball in space a good bit. I just don't. I don't know that I see them scoring over 20 points in this ball game against Texas's defense.
Here's the thing with I'm sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt you.
No. Go ahead.
Yeah.
Speak your mind. Speak your mind.
Here's the thing with whenever you have the Texas Clemson game going over to a run heavy offense game. If Texas defensive line can hold up like they did against Clemson, I can see that score. But with Phil Maffa not being 100%, we didn't really get to see much of a run game for
They were all
Clemson.
one-dimensional. They were one-dimensional the
Exactly.
whole ball game.
And they took advantage of that.
Which I don't understand why, because Clemson's backup running back is very good.
He was hurt too.
Well,
They're both weren't 100%. That's what I'm saying. You don't necessarily have a very good view of what their run
Jonathan.
defense is like. Because you have that Henderson guy, I think his
Dogging on him,
last name's Henderson. The Henderson guy for Clemson, he's really good. He was the freshman running back. I think that's what his name was. I'm not sure though. But he looked really good. Like he had 100 some yards the game before, if I'm not mistaken. But it was against SMU, I believe, or the game before us.
That's so sad. That's so sad.
And also, I see Scatterbo and Phil Maffa kind of being the same kind of back. If you
No,
like, if you
I'm reading.
take 'em and
I'm
look
reading.
at 'em, and I don't know. It's definitely. I think they're going to try that run game on Texas for sure. I think so. I think that's what we're going to go.
I mean,
to.
I think they try it. I think they try it a lot. Yeah, I think they try it a lot because this is the thing: is Sam Levitt is a running quarterback. He is a true dual threat quarterback. Buddy can sling it and Buddy can run it. And I feel like that's one thing that we didn't really get to see from Cade against Texas because they didn't have Phil Maffa. But the truth is, do we think? I guess do I think that Arizona State's gonna? I mean, I don't think they're gonna be able to run between the tackles against Texas.
No, the
I
defense
just
is. It's definitely going to be an offensive game. Like, but I see Texas pulling out with this one like huge.
yeah, that's what I have. I have a blowout. I have a massive blowout actually.
So this is what y'all are picking to be the blowout game?
Yeah, I
Oh yeah,
mean Max kind of got a close game, so
Yeah.
Mac picked Texas 42-31. I have Texas 45-17 is my final score. I think Arizona State scores a couple.
Dang,
Yeah.
getting dogged on.
Listen, I just whoa,
No
John,
love for this
whoa, pause. Jonathan in chat, he legit called 45-17 as well. Look at that. Chase in chat, I see you. He said 53-14 Texas. My goodness.
So just a thrashing.
I mean, absolute
mine-
thrash.
I don't think it gets
This
that
is
high
my
because I think. Oh, go ahead, Seth.
So my view on the Texas game, I think it's going to be a little bit more defensive. I think it's going to be backwards. The reason is I think Texas is a defense first team. You can kind of see that when they play teams like Georgia and how those or Texas A&M how those team games go. As well as I don't necessarily trust Ewers to do a whole lot of shooting. Nonetheless, I say 27-17 with Arizona covering the spread, but Texas pretty much choking out Arizona the entire way. But Texas being able to keep it within grip the entire series.
So Braxton, before you make your pick, Arizona State's defense, okay. When it comes to the passing defense, they allow 216 yards of passing offense a game, which is best for 60th in the nation.
Mm-hmm.
And their rush defense, they allow 117 rush yards a game, which is good for 22nd in the nation. I mean, you combine that all together, I mean, you're looking at 340 yards of offense. Now, when you go to Texas, Texas is insane. Texas only allows 100 yards of rushing offensive gain, which is good for 9th in the nation. And they only allow 155 yards of passing offense, which is good for 2nd in the nation. So
If Texas schemes for a run only, this game's going to be bad.
very.
I don't see Arizona even sniffing like you said, maybe if they have a schemed first drive.
Right.
After that, I don't see anything happening.
Like if they get a accidental blown coverage, tip ball caught by one of their wide receivers that gets them close enough for a field goal type joint, or maybe whatever. I mean, the football's football. A blown coverage, a missed assignment, something's bound to happen. They're human. That's why I gave them 2 scores and a field goal. Whatever.
That's why I also kept with them 17. But I think I don't trust Texas' offense as much to get like a blowout. Just
Listen, if they hand the ball off to Jaden Blue and he take off, if he take off the way he did against Clemson, horns up, baby. Hey, buddy about to be up out of there because he was running that thing.
I think it's going to be like 34-10.
Ooh, 34-10. There's Braxton's prediction. That's what I was waiting on.
It's easy, yeah.
All right.
I'll be honest. I don't know.
Little closer. We'll see. I hope it's close. I want to see a fight.
Yeah, I mean, me too.
If you stick around in this type of playoff rule or whatever, these teams. I'll be honest. These teams shouldn't be playing each other. Like I don't see anything being exciting besides maybe if Ashton Genty turns up. It's just being honest.
No, you're with everybody else. I agree. Dang, I kind of want to ride with Mac. I see his prediction on the screen.
Oh yeah. Listen, I don't know who I chose yet. I don't have a prediction for this game yet. Listen, Third game of the second round, New Year's Day at 5 p.m. We got the Rose Bowl, Ohio State versus Oregon, a rematch from earlier in the season. Ohio State is favored against number 1 Oregon by 2.5 after that thrashing against Tennessee last weekend. Listen, this is a rematch from earlier in the year. Like I said, that game was won by Oregon 32-31. This game will definitely be probably a pass-heavy ball game. Both quarterbacks threw for 325 yards plus in the last matchup. They were slinging the rock. But listen, after what we saw against Tennessee, this seems to be a very different Ohio State team that we saw earlier in the season. And even against Michigan, it's a completely different team than what we saw. Their offense has continued to grow. They have continued to get better. They've reached higher and higher, and now it is operating at a level that I don't know that Oregon can handle. I'm not 100% positive or even sold on that statement. That's what I wrote in my notes earlier after watching film over and over. Listen, uh, I I have 3 people that I think are going to make a huge impact in this game, and all 3 of them are wide receivers. Because it's such a pass heavy game. I got Emeka Egbuka from Ohio State, Jeremiah Smith, freshman from Ohio State, and then Tez Johnson from Oregon, best slot receiver in the nation. Between the 3 of them, this game instead of the Tennessee Ohio State game might be game of the year. Because both of these teams have gotten better and better and better as the year has gone on. Dylan Gabriel and co have under Dan Lanning have gotten a lot better. Gabriel has grown. That defense is just stout. Shout out Jordan Birch, ex Gamecock. Buddy looks good on that Oregon defense. But listen, man, OSU, after what they done to Tennessee, this game this game has got me itching for some football. I don't know about y'all, but I got a feeling that this game may be a. I wanna give a hot take that this game may end up going into overtime because I feel like it might be
We've
crazy.
had we've had 2 overtime games in the last 2 days. I love
Yeah,
overtime in college football. NFL, step it up. All right. We're supposed to be looking at you as the pro league. Well, y'all might need to look down because y'all's overtime rules are trash. College football overtime is great. Anyone that doubts it, suck it. Yeah, I'm excited about this game. It's gonna be God, I love the Rose Bowl. I gotta get out there, man. Go to the Rose Bowl in person. Probably I think it's
mm.
my favorite bowl game, without a doubt. Nonetheless,
It's just
though,
so turnt over there, bro. Like that stadium is so sick.
it's
It is
everything
so
around it
sick.
too.
Yeah. Like all of, I don't know. There's just some significance about the Rose Bowl, bro. Like
I think I'm the
I want to
only
get there too.
one I think I'm the only one out of the 3 of us, I think, that's been out west. I was in Arizona for about 10 months. Bro, it's so beautiful out there.
Yeah.
The sunsets are real. It's nice. I need to get I know that's California, but it's all the same thing, whatever.
I've been to
Out
Texas
west.
twice. Um,
I was about to say what part?
I've been
That
to
Texas kinda big,
Dallas.
boy.
I've been to Houston. Um,
Okay,
I didn't make it to San Antonio. I've been to Arlington. I went in the Cowboy
nice.
Stadium. I've been to a handful of places in Texas, but I didn't never make it that far. Yes, Jonathan, I can agree. Texas, there's a lot of places in Texas that are awful. Bro, driving over there is just, God, it's abysmal. Um,
Mm,
but mm,
this is it's gonna be a great game, though.
I agree.
I
I agree.
personally yeah, this is a 50-50 ball game. It's what you want in a playoff matchup. I'm
Th-
picking
this this
Ohio State
game,
because of how they played against Tennessee. They
I feel it.
I forgave them for choking to Michigan. I pulled that as it's a rivalry week, whatever flop, but I know Oregon beat them once already. It's harder to beat a team twice, and Oregon about lost at home to Ohio State, and that's where I made up my mind.
Oregon
That's
almost lost to Wisconsin too. Like they've had some close games this year.
Mhm.
yeah. I think Oregon's beatable, but they're very fast. But I loved what I saw from Will Howard. when they
Yeah.
faced off.
Yeah.
He was playing super clean football. You obviously have the pieces to match up against Oregon, but at the end of the day, it's a 50-50 ball game. You can throw stats at it all you want. Guess what? Both of these teams have the best stats and the prettiest players, and it's all about vibes. I'm gonna be honest. And Ohio State is passing the vibe check after that Tennessee matchup. So
Oh yeah,
Yep.
they are definitely passing the vibe check for sure. I don't know, man. I have a
and
very, 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 very close game. I have a 1 point game. I have
yeah,
a
same.
1 point game. Um,
I'm basically riding with Mac.
I have a 1 point game in this one. I got 35-34 Ohio State in this game. I
That's
think that
literal 1 point.
no,
Field goal.
legit,
Okay.
no, like legit. I have it being like a well, technically for it to be 35-34, Ohio State would have to be down 34-28 and come down, score a touchdown, stop Oregon on defense, and win the ball game. Yeah, I just think, like you said, they looked like a completely different ball team against Tennessee.
Now
They,
it's going to be a question on if they choke or not, but I know a person who chokes yearly, just a matter of when, and his name is Dan Lanning in Oregon. Bro does it every year. I've been saying it for the last 2-3 weeks.
you have said it
I
every
think
week
it's a
and it
matter of
hasn't
time.
happened yet. So I'm wondering, when does that time come? Because I mean, if you look at
Maybe
the
hey,
bracket here, that's the thing is if you look at the bracket here, if Oregon beats Ohio State and they move on, in our predictions we got Texas moving on. It'd be Oregon, Texas. Okay. That would be the next ball game for Oregon. And if they were to win that ball game, we all have Penn State beating Boise, and we haven't talked about the Notre Dame Georgia game yet. But if they were to beat Texas, it would be the winner of Penn State versus Georgia or Notre Dame. So, I mean, at some point, uh, if your prediction is correct, no, Oregon's got to make a mistake somewhere.
I
So
yeah. That's why earlier I said if Ohio State pulls it off, wins the Natty this year, there's going to be argument about them being the best team ever, with competing with what I think is 2019 LSU.
yeah, that team was
Because
disgusting.
the route Ohio State has to go through to get there is kind of insane. So now, given they lost to Oregon already and they lost to Michigan, so that kind of takes the record. But
1000%. Now,
does
granted, if Oregon wins undefeated and they beat Ohio State, then they beat Texas, then they beat whoever comes out of the right side of the bracket. Is that a discussion that is to be had? That
and they beat
Oregon,
Tennessee. I think
like,
so. I think it's an argument. I think they have an argument all day.
because that's what is going
Did
to come out to now
2019
because of the expanded playoff. Like,
Did 2019 LSU go undefeated? Or did they
yes,
drop a game in that?
I think they were undefeated.
Hold
I
on.
think, yeah, I was about to pull it up. I think they were undefeated. 2019 LSU football, they were.
A lot of people have them as the
Do.
best team ever. I mean, obviously there will always be someone to argue against that,
Oh, for
but
sure.
I feel like that's probably one of the more popular takes. Unless you're like an Alabama fan or maybe a Clemson fan, then
Yeah,
you get
I think they were undefeated.
Yeah, I'm looking at. Um, yeah, they were 15-0.
yeah. So that would
Yeah, they were
be
15
Ohio
and 0.
State's like if Ohio State's not the best team ever, that would be why. But
Yeah,
they definitely have a harder route than that
Dang,
LSU
South
team.
Carolina sucked that year. They were 4-8.
yeah, we were
So cock
horrible, brother.
baby.
Um,
I'm glad we were bad during the Joe Burrow era.
imagine we would have got thrashed. Anyways, so yeah, I got 35-34. Max prediction is Ohio State 45-42. Seth, you got 42-38. Bryson, what's yours, brother?
49-45, Ohio State.
Jeez, but he got a shootout and
So
a half.
we
Yeah,
all riding Ohio State?
Everybody's riding OSU, brother.
this is gonna
Crazy.
be one of those,
You're gonna be
you
so
wish it
wrong.
was a
Watch.
not game. You wish it was a not game. You wish it was the last one instead of Georgia and Notre Dame. This is gonna be one
Mm-hmm.
of
Watch.
those ones.
Well, we're gonna be so wrong. It's gonna be like Oregon 15-10 or something stupid.
Nah, they got too much. Their
Way
offense
too
on
much
both sides
offense,
is way,
bro. Yeah,
way
way
I
too
know.
much offense.
I know. I agree, but it's gonna be something stupid, boy.
I mean the over under in this game.
I think it's 2.5.
Yeah, but the over unders.
Oh, the over under.
Yeah, the over under is 53.5. That's getting smashed. That's getting
Oh, yeah.
smashed. More than 53 points are getting scored in this game for sure.
I could see one team scoring that much.
Yeah, if it becomes a shootout, and they're just like slinging that thing, I could see one team scoring 54 easy.
Yeah. They might score that within a half.
Not for sure. Listen, last game, last but not least, is the 8 p.m. game on the first of the year. We got the All-State Sugar Bowl. We got Notre Dame versus Georgia, and Georgia is 2-point favorites in this game. Listen, I have a few notes here. Can Notre Dame keep up? This is by far Notre Dame's toughest challenge of the season, like by far. By far. Will Gunnar Stockton lead the Bulldogs to victory in his very, very, very first start? Will Notre Dame's offense match up well against Georgia's defense? That is my key to whichever team wins. Like, does Notre Dame's offense match up against? Does their offense match up against Georgia's defense well? If they can't get Riley Leonard and co flowing early and often, then I don't know that this game. I don't know how this game goes. I have my prediction. I see Jonathan in the chat. He's got a Notre Dame upset, 30-28. Jonathan is calling an upset. You know what, Jonathan? I'm writing that down just so we can keep note, brother. Just so we
Shout
can
out
keep
Jonathan
note.
next
Yeah,
week.
shout out Jonathan. Yeah, yeah.
Upset.
Yeah, he's calling an upset Notre Dame. Listen, he's not the only person that I've talked to that's called an upset in this game. He also just said that he just can't stand Georgia. So he's just calling against Georgia because he don't like them, which is, listen, it's understandable. But I just listen. I've bet on Kirby. I've bet against Kirby Smart 1,000 times, and every time I've lost. So I wasn't doing it this time. I am not betting against Kirby. not again.
I think there's only going to be one game this week that's close, and it's going to be the one we just talked about a minute ago. And that's Ohio State, Oregon. I think this is going to be a thrashing. So
Yeah.
I really do. I think Georgia just matches up better. I think that defense is going to choke out Notre Dame, and it's going to be 31-10. Like,
Gunnar.
I would have them scoring more if I trusted Gunnar Stockton, but I think Gunnar Stockton will be a fine game manager, and
Yeah, he only had 4 incomplete passes against Texas, and one of them happened to be an interception. Like,
and that's when they got pressure on him too, and he threw that ball way in the wrong direction.
I don't see pressure coming from Notre Dame unless they leave cornerbacks on the island, which I don't think you're going to be able to do that against Georgia. I just don't think you're doing that. I think there's going to be a lot of zone. I mean, if they do, it'd be very surprising, but I don't see. I think Gunnar Stockton's fine where he is. I think he's probably a little bit better than Carson Beck, in my opinion. He's going to be better than Carson Beck.
I've said from the get-go that I think that Georgia sits in a better position with Gunnar at the helm because
they seem to play a little bit harder for Gunnar, anyways.
Well, it's not even that. I feel like they play at a faster pace because he's a dual threat quarterback. Like Carson can run, but he's not a runner. If you see what I'm saying, like Gunnar Stockton was what, the number 1 dual threat quarterback in his class, number 2, number 3
5
something.
star.
He was 5-star. He was
Yep.
committed to the Cox
Yeah.
under Will Muschamp, but you know how that goes. That's how the cookie crumbles. But
We got
it's neither
Lenore
here nor
South
there.
here.
Yeah, it's fine.
Have fun.
But either way, the way he played balls to the wall against against Texas, for that Georgia offense, the way he just laid out, obviously, and got laid out. But the way he played, the way he kind of managed that time in the pocket under center, it just, I don't know, it just looked like Georgia didn't miss a beat to me.
Mhm.
It looked like they didn't miss a step, they didn't miss a beat. And I mean, yes, are we due for an upset in one of these games? Sure. Could this be potentially the one that we see it in? I've felt that all week that this might be the game we see it in. It's either this
Call it, you
one,
won't.
huh?
I said, call it, you won't.
I've said it a couple times that this
I-
could potentially be the one, but I have said 1,000 times that Georgia was going to lose a ball game, and they ended up not losing said ball game, and I'm not going to do it again. Just because I think Kirby Smart's been in way too many ball games of significant importance to mismanage and mishandle a ball game.
Exactly. This is a Duke quarterback going against Kirby Smart.
Yeah, it's an old ACC quarterback going up against.
I don't
I
see
don't.
it.
Yeah, I don't trust anyone against Kirby.
You got to think.
Kirby's
Look
the
at
issue.
also look at the teams Georgia has faced.
Yeah, they've had the number 1 strength of
Clemson,
schedule all season.
Yeah.
Alabama, Texas
Tennessee.
twice, Tennessee, Ole Miss. This game's gonna. This game ain't gonna look too good for Notre Dame. I don't see it. I think Notre Dame's gonna get pretty much blown out in this one.
All right, Braxton, tell me your score then.
I'm gonna have to go like 35-14. 38, 38-14. 38-14.
Oh, so you're about near me. 'Cause I said 31-10.
Yeah. But I've said 10 too much. There's one of them gonna jinx me if I do all 3-10.
That's fair.
Jonathan, listen, brother. I see you got to get up at 4 in the morning. You have a good evening, good night.
We can stay up a little bit later.
Go
See you,
Cox. Go Cox, not go Tigers. Yeah, we don't like the Tigers around here, but listen, love you, brother. Take it easy. Be safe at work tomorrow. We appreciate you tuning in with us. But yeah, I think that I've called pretty much even games this whole time. I think this game might be a little closer. I'm actually going to change my score because I watched film earlier. I'd done this earlier in the day. It's not too much farther off from y'all. But I have a 10-point game. Just thinking that there's going to be a busted something here or there. Somebody may bust loose. Do what now?
Notre Dame's a run heavy offense. And
Yeah.
I just don't see them running all over Georgia. I don't see it. I know Kirby has the sense. He's faced against too many. He's faced Texas twice. And Texas, in my opinion, has probably the second best backfield outside of Ohio State.
Yeah, and every time they've
in
played
the
Texas, Texas hasn't been able to run the ball.
Exactly. And that's what
Outside
Notre Dame
or inside. Outside or inside. They've just had to figure it out. Like,
yeah. I just don't see it happening. And their highest receiver the leading receiver don't even have 500 yards, but their running back has over 1,000. That's why I just think they're just going to try to run the ball, and it's not going to work.
Yeah. I mean, I watched some film earlier. I did a little bit of studying on this game. I had a somewhat of a closer game initially, just because I was trying to throw some of the stuff together. Easton hasn't been feeling well. We thought he might have been sick a little while ago, and he might still be, but I just had to throw a few things together. But after watching some more right after dinner or whatnot, I think I'm in agreement with y'all. Max got this score being 27-13, um, being a rather lopsided game in Georgia's favor. No, Seth, you didn't put your. I got it though, and I have Georgia winning 33-17. So we're all in pretty much agreement that Georgia's winning this game by a large margin. I see that. So we all pretty much are in agreement across the board. Penn State, Texas, Ohio State, and Georgia, except for Jonathan. Jonathan was the oddball, and he picked Notre Dame. So,
If anything, pick Oregon.
yeah, I was about to say, if anything, why didn't he pick Oregon instead of Notre Dame? That would have been the closer game, I guess. But I mean, he did say that he feels like Ohio State just looked like a completely different team. He picked 33-30 Ohio State. So, I mean, he felt like that game was going to be closer, but he picked the same way we did. But yeah, any final thoughts on any of that, gentlemen?
Nah, I think we got the four
I don't
best
know.
teams, to be honest.
Not on the playoffs. I don't have anything. I think it's gonna be fun. Any Gamecock news you want to go over that we might have missed, or just
We
hit real
missed
quick?
something.
I don't think so. We know replaced Shula.
I haven't seen any news on who is going to replace Shula yet. I haven't seen any news regarding that yet. But as soon as we do, obviously we'll hit that in an episode on who's going
Yeah.
to replace him for an offensive analyst position. I'm assuming it's probably going to be, I mean, a
Oh,
pretty.
General Will just posted the Duke running back with eyes.
Oh,
a
yeah, yeah,
minute
yeah.
ago.
Yeah, I'm wondering if we're going to look at, try to get Polo, Contavia Polo Anderson. Look at him and look at a few
General
other people.
Insider for real.
Yeah,
That
low
joke's so
key.
funny.
Hey, buddy, he be knowing everything. I swear. But listen, if y'all don't have, if y'all don't have anything else,
Outside
I
of the
think
playoff
we.
games, y'all got any bowl games that you are
Yeah,
excited to see?
that's the one thing that I meant to ask. Um,
I'm gonna look at him.
and that's one thing I wanted to look at. Because we are. Let's see here.
That
I'll say the ones I'm excited for. Georgia Tech Vandy.
Yeah,
that's
that's
what I was
that's
gonna say.
tomorrow.
The Vandy one's
That's
gonna be
gonna
really
be
good.
a banger because that
That's
was
gonna
gonna
be
be
a good
fun.
game.
After that, I'm
Um,
excited for ECU, NC State, but that's mostly because that's where I'm from.
Yeah.
And Colorado BYU.
Yeah.
yeah,
I
that
think
game's gonna be lit.
that was
Listen,
gonna-
you
that
got
was gonna
Iowa
be cool.
State and Miami too.
We're gonna find out if Miami is still this fraudulent. So that's about
Yeah.
Bro,
And then
I don't know.
Monday,
I'm
Monday
gonna die.
the 30th, we got Iowa versus Missouri.
Time out. UConn has a football team? That's crazy.
Yeah. They're actually 8-4.
I know. That's what I'm saying. I'm
That's
like, wait a
funny.
minute. No
That's
offense, UConn, but
hilarious.
Then we have the best bowl
I'm
game,
used to see
Carolina
UConn
and
knows they have a football
Illinois.
team.
Illinois,
They all
yeah, 3 o'clock.
basketball.
Listen, before South Carolina, Illinois Cheez-It Bowl, we got Alabama and Michigan in the ReliaQuest Bowl.
I don't
I
think
wish
that's gonna be even
Michigan.
close.
No,
I
and
wish
neither
Michigan.
is the Tax Slayer Gator Bowl, Duke and Ole Miss. That game is probably going to be a blowout.
Yeah.
Wait, you think Bama's gonna blow out Michigan?
Probably.
Probably.
Unless I mean
Mm,
Michigan's in a rebuilding process, so maybe they want to show out a
I
little
don't
bit.
know. I know they've lost
But
5 games, so it's hard to defend Michigan. But at the same time, I don't trust Michigan. Like, I don't know, man. I don't trust Bama is what I meant
I
to
mean,
say.
yeah, you
Yeah,
don't.
I
I
don't
mean, I
trust
don't know.
yeah.
Bama.
I don't trust
This
them
ain't the
either.
same.
You also got to
But
think
I
that a lot
mean,
of their players hit the
okay,
portal
time out.
or a decent a bit.
Who has
Decent
Michigan
amount.
lost to? Okay, they've lost to. Yeah, they've gotten embarrassing some. I
Yeah.
wouldn't be surprised if that's
Yeah.
competitive though.
I mean, I
Dang,
could see it being competitive being the names that they are. You know, I gotta
yeah.
play Alabama or I gotta go play Michigan. I could see that if the
And they
players
just
think
beat
it that way.
Ohio State, so they're gonna be feeling good. Well, I don't know. We'll see.
The only team I've
Baylor,
seen
LSU might be
do
decent.
something twice back to back is South Carolina, Tennessee,
I'm
Clemson.
so, I'm so excited for this dog stomp Illinois. Like I kind of feel bad for Illinois because they don't know what they going
If
against
Listen,
I was
man.
everybody.
if I was their portal players, I would have opted in for this game just to show you what I could do against an actual decent team, and then
Yeah,
Oh god.
yeah,
hit the
yeah, and
portal.
hit the portal in the springtime. Listen, because
Exactly.
this is the thing, though. We'll hit this one more time to close out our show. We'll hit the Citrus Bowl one more time. On defense, they allow third down conversions 45% of the time, which is best for 106th in the country. Um, they allow they allow 389 yards a game for their opponents, which is 79th in the country. Um, they give up 160 yards per game, 80th in the country, and they give up 230 passing yards a game, which is 75th in the country. Listen, they're like 3/4 tier defense in the nation, and I mean on offense they're not much better. Um, they average 142 rushing yards a game, which is 80th in the country, and in the passing game they average 211 passing yards a game, which is 80th in the country. So
Dog, I hope Iowa beats Missouri because I just would find that hilarious. I don't think it'll happen. I wouldn't bet on it, but
Is Brady Cook or Luther playing?
I
I don't
haven't
know.
seen that anywhere.
I don't know. They probably are. I don't know why you wouldn't. Or Brady should
I
play.
mean,
I think Brady needs
I'm
to
about to say
play. Brady got
Brady.
to help his
Yeah,
draft
Brady
Yeah,
should
stock.
play. Yeah, he
he
definitely
got
don't
should
injured
play.
think-
this season, so he needs to play.
Yeah,
I
he
doubt
definitely should
Luther
play.
will. Luther gonna be first round wideout, so
Yeah, it's for sure.
Yeah.
I think he's great.
So, but either way, I mean, listen.
Especially fun games.
Yeah,
Good time.
fun games. Love bowl season. Hate that the college football season's coming to a close here soon. But listen, we still got college football playoff games rolling around. Some good things happening. Portal things that are going on. We'll definitely be covering some more portal news. Listen, when the off season hits, we'll be doing shows still. Listen, if you are following us, we appreciate all the support. If you're not following us, hit the follow button. If you're on YouTube, hit the like button, leave us a comment, subscribe. Uh, if you hit our X accounts, Facebook, Twitch, YouTube, Instagram, give us a follow, give us some likes on our things. Everything helps. We greatly appreciate all the support. Um, yeah, I think that's gonna do it from myself, Braxton, and Seth. We appreciate everybody tuning in, being with us tonight. Think we'd had a great show. Listen, love, peace, and hair grease, everybody. Have a good night.